And after he had dismissed the crowds, he went up to the mountain by himself to pray. And when evening came, he was there alone. But by this time, the boat was battered by the waves, was far off from land, for the wind was against him. And very early in the morning, he came walking toward them on the sea. But when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were terrified and saying, "It's a ghost." They cried out with fear. But immediately Jesus spoke to them and said, "Take heart, it is I. Do not be afraid." Peter answered him, "Lord, if it is you, then command me to come to you on the water." And he said, "Come." And so Peter, he got out of the boat and he started walking on the water, and he came toward Jesus. But when he noticed the strong wind, he became frightened and he began to sink. He cried out, "Lord, save me." Jesus immediately, he reached out with his hand and he caught him, saying to him, "You little faith, why do you doubt?" And when they got into the boat, the wind ceased, and those in the boat worshipped him, saying, "Truly, you are the Son of God." The Gospel of the Lord. Grace to the peace of God our Father and from our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. You may be seated. It's a lesson that we all kind of grew up with. It's not a parable. It's a lesson. It's kind of a story of Jesus and his disciples once again. It's a real kind of a vivid story if you really think about it. You just see Jesus on the water, walking on that water across to the disciples. Now they were not afraid because of the thing of gravity that Jesus would fall into the water, or what made sense, unless you think that it was winter and he was walking on ice. He wasn't walking on ice, he was walking on water. And so he came to them, and what was their greatest fear? They thought he was a ghost. They thought he was a ghost, and they were filled with fear and doubt. And I think that's part of what the lesson is all about, to give the disciples courage for the days ahead, and you and I also. And so here comes Jesus, walking on the water towards them, and Peter just doesn't get it, he doesn't accept it either. "Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you." And so he steps out of the boat, and he starts to walk. He starts to walk, but then he starts to sink. He didn't know where the stones were. That's supposed to be funny. Anyway, he starts to doubt. And it's when he doubts, when the fear hits him, and he starts to sink. I don't know if any of you ever felt that way in your life. Fear really can really zap you. And I could feel it from everybody that talks to me about our present situation now also. Seems like the wind's against us, doesn't it? I know it, I feel it, I talk to you and I hear you, and it seems like that. And so we're filled also with some fear and some doubt. But yet in this gospel lesson, in the word and the sacrament, and we're coming together, and even in our small number, and we will grow as time goes on, we will come through this wind. We will come through this. Because when we come and we gather, Jesus still comes to us and to Peter and all of us. He comes to us and he says, "Take heart, it is I. The word and sacrament is I. I'm always here for you." And he reaches out and he rescues us. He will rescue us. Be careful out there. I would be careful. Wear the mask. Take heart. The Lord is there to listen. Listen to God's faithful people and servants who would tell us what is important in life. They reach out to us. They reach out to us and they say, "Fear not, but do the right thing." I saw a thing on the news this week that kind of really got me. And it was a situation where a governor, I don't know if you saw this, one of the governors was giving a talk, a public talk. And there was a little school teacher who was out at the curb. And she yelled out to the governor as he was starting to speak, cutting him off. I was like, how can anybody do that? I thought, this lady's crazy. She was a school teacher who was afraid. And she called out to the governor, and the governor, instead of getting angry and disgusted with this person, a teacher, was standing by her car because a kid was in the car. He said, wait a minute, stop. Anybody see this? He said, stop. And he stopped the whole thing. He went out to the curb to the teacher, and he got down on his knee, and he listened to her. And he calmed her down, and he said, listen, we're going to come through this. Let's work together on it. And he calmed her down. I was kind of amazed, because in a sense that's like what Jesus calls us to do also. You know, not to get mad and angry with each other, but maybe to listen and to give each other heart. Take heart, it is I. When Jesus comes, do not be afraid. It's hard for us not to be afraid. It is. But it seems like the wind is against us, but we will come through this wind. And I'm here to say that to all of us here today and to myself. Be careful out there. Do the right thing. But listen to the words of the Lord. Come and worship Him. Come and receive His love and His forgiveness and hear His word. Take heart. It is I. Come and walk in the water with me. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. We stand for the blessing of God. The peace of God that passes all of our understanding, keep our hearts and minds in the love and knowledge of Jesus Christ. Amen. We sing the hymn.